Hello everybody, my name is Alex, and in today's video we're going to continue our build up to the Runner/Plaid DLC, and I guess it will count for pretty much any DLC in the future too, by talking about 3 Asian civilizations that could yet appear in Civilization 6. Now honestly, before I researched these civs for the video, I didn't know too much about them. I think a couple are quite obscure, so hopefully you'll not just find this video interesting, but you might actually learn something as well. So the suggestions in this video are actually taken from your comments on previous videos, and all I've done is I've gone away, I've researched the suggestion, I filled out the civ and the ideas where I could and where it was needed, but there are still gaps, so maybe if you know something about these civs we talk about today, or maybe if you just want to go away and do some research yourself, be sure to use the comment section below to full effect to fill in maybe where we need a leader, or maybe where we need to develop some bonuses a little better. Anyway, if you do go on to enjoy this video today and want to see more videos like this, make sure you hit that like button because that helps us out immensely, and also consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss our next Civilization 6 video, because you don't want to miss it, honestly you don't. The first suggestion on this list is the Mughal Empire, which was suggested by MacC, so thank you for that. Now, the reason for having the Mughal Empire on this list is that a lot of people have said, and I sort of agree with this as well, is that India's history in civilization games is too often just simplified as one Indian civilization, when in reality, the continent of India has seen many more empires and many more civilizations than a lot of people probably know about. One of these civilizations, or empires in this case, is the Mughal Empire, and they were particularly powerful between the beginning of the 16th and 18th centuries. So how should we formulate a Mughal civ? Well, the way I do it is around the leader I picked, which is Akbar the Great. Now, though perhaps history has judged him a little too kindly, Akbar the Great was generally tolerant of not just Muslims, that he and the Mughals were, but also other religious groups such as Hindus, who made up a substantial part of the population, and whom Akbar's predecessors had basically persecuted against for years. The way he did this was he sort of stopped taxing Hindus for being Hindus and not Muslims, and also he built things like schools for not just Muslims but for Hindus too. A couple more key points to note as well is that he was also a major advocate of the arts and culture, and that his reign also saw the advancement of Mughal architecture, and this architecture incorporated traditional elements of Islamic, Hindu and Persian design. The Taj Mahal is a fantastic example of this architectural design, and that's in Civ 6 too, which is cool. Bonuses wise, Akbar the Great's Mughal Empire should be geared towards 2 things in my opinion. Now, I've not formulated specific bonuses here, but these are 2 pretty clear directions. So for me, the first thing should be towards housing and amenities to reflect the stability that Akbar brought to the empire during his relatively inclusive reign, so to speak. Now, this should make it easier for the Mughal Empire to grow large, and that would also reflect its large scale in real life too, because the Mughal Empire was quite big. Perhaps more importantly though, for people who are thinking, how could we win as the Mughal Empire, I'd quite like them to go in the direction towards arts and culture, because he was a big advocate of that, and I'd like the civ to be geared towards a tourism victory. For example, the Taj Mahal brings in an awful lot of people today. The architecture is very fascinating, so I'd like that to be incorporated, maybe a building that brings in additional culture, stuff like that. Feel free to develop that way more in the comments. The next civilization that was suggested by quite a few people, and I do apologise if you suggested this but your name's not on the screen, that civilization is Vietnam. Now, before making this video, I really did not know so much about Vietnam's history. I mean, I think we all know about the Vietnam War, that's quite well known, but prior to that, and what the country's like now, I did not know very much about it, so I did really enjoy researching this one. Though with the vast majority of the civs I cover in these videos, I decided not to go and formulate a civilization from top to bottom. For example, I didn't even decide on a leader for Vietnam, so someone can suggest a few cool ones in the comments. I did pick out 2 key directions that, from the research I did, I'd like to see a Vietnamese civilization progress towards. Firstly, Vietnam should be a defensive civ, which can be an absolute nightmare to conquer, representing its history of resisting military conquest and interference from more powerful rivals. I guess sort of like as big a nightmare as a fortified Georgia. But in contrast to Georgia, one of the ways I dissuade people from invading a Vietnamese civ is through serious loyalty penalties to Vietnamese cities occupied by an enemy civilization. Sort of just make them incredibly difficult to tame and sort of just not worth invading. I think using the loyalty mechanics would make for some interesting strategies, especially if it's just not worth declaring war with Vietnam. And also, you could combine this through terrain bonuses for Vietnamese troops defending the territory, because in real life, Vietnam is an incredibly defendable place. It's an absolute nightmare to conquer. To combine with the traditional view of Vietnam, I'd quite like to bring a lot of modern Vietnam into this for the victory conditions and make it a strong late game tourism civ. I don't know exactly what bonuses I'd put in here, but today Vietnam is a very popular tourist destination in Southeast Asia. It gets visitors from across the world, and they're stepping it up all the time. For example, this year they were meant to have their first Formula 1 race. So I definitely think that idea of tourism is a good direction to take their victory type in. How else do you think we could flesh out a Vietnamese civilization in Civ 6 though? What kind of bonuses would you like to see? And what more detail do you think we could add to this? Again, let me know all that good stuff if you've got any thoughts down in the comments. The final suggestion today was very kindly put together by James and Fleabass. I apologise if I pronounced that wrong. In the comment section of another video I did on possible new civilizations, and that civilization is Tibet as a religious focused civ. Now, Tibet is a possible civilization that never crossed my mind before I made these videos at all. I didn't even know that between the 7th and 9th centuries they possessed an empire that stretched from the Bay of Bengal to modern Mongolia, which is quite big. And it also encompassed large swathes of mountains, including, crucially, the Himalayas. It's from these mountainy characteristics that we think Tibet should take its bonuses. So the first of these is either a unique ability or more probably a unique district, such as the Mountain Monastery, that can only be built adjacent to mountain tiles, but doubles mountain adjacency for faith yields from holy sites and possibly gives additional housing or maybe amenities. Now this has the potential to make Tibet a really strong religious civ. Another thing suggested was that Tibet's unique unit could be the Lama, which is a unique apostle that gives your civ a science and culture boost every time that one converts a city. Now this would help players focus more on building religious buildings whilst not suffering as much in the science/culture production depending on the size of the boost. Regarding a leader, I actually have my own suggestion on this one. So since we're going down a religious route with this civ, why not Songtsen Gampo? I apologise if I've butchered that pronunciation, I probably have. But he was an emperor who did much to expand Tibet's power. But more importantly for this video, he's credited with introducing Buddhism to Tibet, which is where much of the bonuses we just talked about actually originated, so I think he would be a pretty good shout. So those are 3 Asian civilizations that we think it would be pretty cool to see in an upcoming Civilization 6 update, possibly even the runner update, who knows. But what do you think? Do you have anything at all to add to what we've said today to sort of flesh out the civs we've talked about? Or maybe you have some completely different suggestions of your own. Let me know down in the comment section below, and maybe go and let me know on Twitter because I'm on there quite a bit and would be more than happy to chat with a few of you over there. If you did enjoy today, make sure you hit that like button because it will help us out so much, and maybe consider subscribing to the channel for more Civilization 6 content. If you don't want to wait till our next video, be sure to just follow the link on the end screen because that will take you to the last video we did like this, and one of the suggestions in that video is sort of game changing was it ever to be introduced, so I think that's pretty cool. Anyway, thank you to everybody who keeps commenting on these videos, whether I've used one of your suggestions yet or not, and thank you today for watching this one. My name is Alex, and I will see you in another video soon.